Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to a beautiful new day, a new week. And we've been reflecting on the power of the reading of the creation story yesterday in worship on Trinity Sunday. And oh my goodness, it was so powerful.
Yeah, with the music and the photos and
the
the wonderful
words.
reading by Jeff Setto. It was, wow.
Yep. Yeah.
We were just kind of, oh, look at that. Oh.
Yeah. And it led us to be talking about how, we want to kind of back up to the beginning of the Bible, to this whole creation thing, and the journey through some of Christian thinking over the years about that, and what that has to do with our connection with God and the Spirit. And as we were talking about it, well, here, let me just read a little bit. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." Boom, and there was light.
Yeah,
And God saw that the light was good.
yeah. And that's that whole thing is repeated throughout the story as other aspects of creation are revealed and
Every day.
come into being. God's response is, it's good.
It's good, it's
good.
good.
It's
Yeah.
good. And it all comes from God, the source of all good.
Yeah.
And that whole vision of the Garden of Eden, to which we refer so often.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jesus, I think, came to tell us was that is available to us at
Yeah.
all times in what he called the kingdom of heaven.
And to restore us to that original
The
sense of the
original,
goodness of God and God's creation. That tells us a lot about God, that God created and sees it as good. This is a loving God who
Yeah.
does all this.
And what an emphasis, and you were going to talk about.
Yeah,
this
Matthew
book.
Fox was a Dominican priest when he wrote a book years ago that we read called Original Blessing. And his byline was, long before there was original sin, there was original blessing. And there's a quote from him here that I really like. It says, the forces of fear and pessimism so prevalent in society and religion need to be countered by an increased awareness of awe and goodness. And throughout this book, he celebrates the wonder of creation and the royal priesthood of individuals in it.
Yeah. And this is so different from how I was raised, which was sort of about being able to firmly identify my sin, your sin, and all that, and then root it out. And one of the practices that I've developed in the last few years is that of meditation, which isn't any, that's mainly just shutting my head up and being able to appreciate and feel that sense of awe and wonder with everything that God has created. Myself, nature, the people around me, and all, that this is just a marvelous world that we have been placed in. And so that how important it is, as often as possible, for me to reconnect with that sense of awe and goodness and wonder. And however I get there is just great.
Yeah.
And I will say that as I've developed that ability to just be in the present moment, and stop thinking about stuff so much, peace has become much more of a dominant theme of my life.
Yeah, and I think that's true for a lot of Christian theology. We tend to start with that original sin, and we focus on that story. We're going to get at that this week a little bit, the Adam and Eve story in the fall. But before that, long before that, it's original blessing, blessing. And what you're talking about is what we belong to, God's goodness and creativity. And we are part of that. Is life also broken? Yes, but it starts with God's goodness in all of creation, including in us. Life is good and meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the fact that once conceived, I grew in my mother's womb without much effort at all on my part. That just happened.
Yeah.
And those are so much of life is that kind of thing, where some good thing is going on that we don't even have to notice.
Reminds me of Martin Luther in his explanation of the first article of the Creed, which is about creation. And he says, "I believe that God created all that is, and he created it, and it's all good, and He gives me food and clothing, home and family, daily work, and all I need from day to day. All this He does out of fatherly and divine goodness, without any merit or worthiness on my part, for all of which I am called to thank and praise, serve and obey Him." But what a different place to start than what a worm I am. And it's true, that has been a thing in our Christian theology.
You know, that
at
whole
times.
thing of man is born in sin. It's like, well, first born in blessing.
Yeah, let's
Born
start there.
in blessing. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I say, like tomorrow we'll talk more about what that division thing that happens to us. But it helps me to understand that kind of unity, oneness, wholeness, that connection with all that is
Yeah,
really our intended state.
yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
And that is a guiding star for me.
yeah, and that's what Jesus came to restore in humanity and in the world. So here we go. At the very end of all this 6 days of creating, God says this: God saw everything He'd made, and indeed, it was very good.
Very good.
Have a very wonderful day, noticing all God's goodness around you guys.
And take a moment just to get quiet.
Yeah.
And feel it.
Would you mind praying today?
Not at all. Oh, Holy Father, You have given us everything we need to be able to love and care for and enjoy, have fun, worship You. It's just all here. Help us to relax and receive it and revel in it as You have, for it is all very good. Amen.
Amen. Have a great day, guys.
Bye-bye.